Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Email on Tap. I'm your host, Anthony Chuli, and I'm thrilled to have as my guest today, Simms Jenkins. He is the founder and CEO of Brightwave. Simms, thanks so much for being on the program.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Great trip out here.
Yeah, I would agree. To get us started, tell me a little bit about Brightwave and what motivated you to start the company.
Yeah, well, Brightwave is a very specialized agency, recognized as the leading email agency in the country, and we were acquired by Ansira, which is a very large marketing technology company based out of St. Louis and Dallas. And we work with some of the best brands in the world, really taking their email program to the next level. And I started about 16 years ago, which is crazy to believe, but I had previously run CRM for Cox, one of their divisions, and kind of after the .com meltdown, 9/11, the economy was just not good. And the job market, of course, was terrible. And I really didn't have plans to start a company, but it was very hard to find a job. So the alternative was, be a scrappy guy that tries to find something that drives a little revenue. And I knew email. I knew that there were a lot of people that had invested websites that were trying to figure out, how do I stay in front of my customers? And Brightwave was slowly but surely kind of came out of the ashes of all the economic meltdown and started as just kind of a lean company that took on a couple clients, slowly hired some employees, and then we continued to stay really focused on the email channel, which I think has been really probably the key to our success, and had a lot of great fortune along the way.
That's a great story. Almost 2 decades, obviously, with Brightwave at the helm. What are your thoughts on the recent rate of acquisitions and mergers, obviously including your own by Ansira?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think today this M&A market is just highly active across all sectors. And you look at the last decade or so many great companies, ExactTarget, Responsis, a lot of marketing clouds have picked up email service providers, seeing email really as kind of this central hub of the future of customer experiences, customer journeys, and a great steady recurring revenue stream. So I think the first phase was the kind of the technology infrastructure of email, and now this next phase is kind of the parts that really complement that, whether it's service companies, point solutions. I think we're going to see a lot more of it. I mean, there's so many companies that have either popped up for the last 5-10 years, or maybe they've been a little bit longer like us, that are really strong companies that have proven themselves to be a key part of the economic engine for large enterprise brands. And certainly folks like you guys are really figuring out how do you complement folks where people are spending a lot of money in digital marketing, but they're not taking it to the next level. So it's really exciting to see a lot of these emerging companies kind of elevate email to the next level.
Sure.
So I think that you're going to see a lot more M&A over the next couple of years. Really.
Yeah, it's been hot and heavy. It seems like every year it outdoes the previous year.
Yeah.
It hasn't slowed down. I mean, I certainly think it's a sign of the health of our industry.
Oh, indeed.
And it's email's not going away. It's not dying, as everyone chants from the rooftops. Looking ahead, as we get deeper into 2020, what are some of the top priorities within Brightwave to continue to meet the new demand of kind of this evolving marketer?
Yeah, I think we're finding that a lot of our clients certainly have higher expectations when it comes to email, when it comes to really driving revenue and driving a better customer experience. So we're really all about how do we continue to push our clients forward, drive significant revenue and meet those expectations. And a lot of that comes through, I think, innovation. I think email, that's one of the key reasons why it's this thriving channel as opposed to a channel that's mature but not necessarily evolving. And so I think our view is absolutely how do we do things that make the customer experience much more dynamic, much more in line with the rest of our clients' channel experiences, whether it's retail, e-commerce, or other digital channels. And email finally has those capabilities to just be this dynamic channel where you can do everything you want to do, or that you can do in an app, and as opposed to email just kind of legacy is more gets you to the next place. Mm-hmm. Now email is really exciting where you can buy something in an email, do a lot of different things. And I think that's very much of what we're trying to push forward with our clients is don't think about email as just this kind of list that you can hit with some impressions. And there's a lot of great brand engagement that can be done, but I think we're just trying to make sure our clients are thinking about email and all the possibilities that certainly are richer than they've ever been before.
It continues to be an adaptive and innovative medium that continues to reinvent itself in the way that it can reach audiences, which I think is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Reflecting back on your career as founder and CEO of Brightwave, what are some of the things that have surprised you most within this industry?
It's a resilient industry. It's a resilient group of people. There's a lot of companies that a lot of people would have written off that they're not going to continue to thrive, and they have. There's a lot of companies that have really emerged over the years. I think that people, certainly we have a great fortune of being in a tight-knit community. So you have people that, regardless of what company they're working for, they're really kind of keeping it close as far as figuring out, like, how do you do business? How do you really take advantage of some of the skill sets and expertise across the industry? And I think that's really amazing, and not every industry has that. And I think that really helps. There's a lot more probably partnerships and kind of business development collaboration in our industry more than other digital industries. And I think a lot of it is because people like to do business with people they trust and they know. And this conference where we are today is certainly a great example of that, where there's a lot of things that'll happen out of this. And I think that's just, people really trust people that understand the email channel and really, try to help one another. And that doesn't happen across industries. So.
Right. Well said. I'm curious, as a consumer of email yourself, what do you look for? What jumps out at you when you receive an email that's really relevant or targeted from a brand? What are some of the things that you tend to really care about or notice when you receive an email that makes you say, wow, this was a really good email?
Yeah, I think, it's going to vary by brand, and everyone's got their own opinions, but I think certainly you got to first kind of jump out where we're all looking at our inbox, whether it's after meetings, first thing you do when you wake up. It's, a lot of people are doing triage of getting rid of all the emails they don't really care about, so you have to stand out first. So I really appreciate any kind of cleverness in terms of how do you deliver a relevant message in a way that's interesting. And I think, how do you make sure that it's something that doesn't have to be offer-centric, but something that, is appealing to me, whether that's, Delta Airlines related to my trip tomorrow, or something related to, a brand that, I buy 6 times a year from that knows, the type of products and is going to, tee up what they know that I'm probably looking for. So I think, it's just that kind of simplicity of that they're going to make sure that an email stands out that's relevant and appealing to me, and that's easier said than done.
Right. Let's talk about your CEO leadership style for a minute. What do you look for in your employees? What talents really matter to you in hiring and staffing? And then, are there any sort of mantras that are instilled in the culture that you try to create at Brightwave?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think our company has been growing a lot, so we have these different phases of employees that thrive, but I think some of the consistent things that have allowed our people to thrive, whether they've been hired in the last year or been there for 10 plus years. And I think flexibility is one of the key things. I think, working for a company that is fast growing, I think you need to be somebody that can handle curveballs. And that also applies to the email marketing world as well as the services world, where, it's tough to move from client to client. And some days it's, get things done, and others it's how do you think really strategically. So flexibility is always high up there. And I think, one of the other, certainly one of our values is kind of intellectual curiosity. And I think so many folks, in the email world, it's always busy. It's always about getting that campaign out the door. So we really try to push and look for people that are going to be, kind of thinking about it from a different level. It doesn't matter what the statement of work says. It doesn't matter about what the campaign brief says. But that person that's like, what if we did it differently? What's possible? And I think that kind of curiosity is something that email could use a little bit more of. So I really love people that are going to approach problems a little bit differently, or kind of tinker with things of like, I know this is how this client's done it for 9 months, but
challenge the norm, think outside the box.
Absolutely,
yep.
Yeah, and I think that's really fun, and those kind of folks really thrive in our environment. And I think that goes really well with probably the other value that it's certainly essential to our business, kind of fight and win like a team. Any business needs that, but certainly when you're working on a lot of challenging clients, and you're in a growing, somewhat chaotic environment. You want people that, every day is a little bit of a roller coaster. You want people that are going to, have their teammates back and be there for the client, but, equally so for their teammates. And, sometimes it's sort of like a team where you don't really know it until you've been in a couple of games with them, whether they're like that. But, those are the people that really have done well for us.
That's great. One of the things I personally respect about you is your involvement in other activities and ventures, including authoring 2 very respectable email marketing books. You're also an active member in Leadership Atlanta, Forbes Agency Council, and obviously launching Brightwave's annual conference, EIQ, which has been a huge success. What do those extracurricular activities mean to you in tandem with running a company like Brightwave?
I view it as sort of, it's my responsibility to, contribute back to Atlanta, to the digital community. Like, they've given me so much, and so I view it as more where it's just, I don't want to be a one-dimensional leader or person operating in an industry or city. So I think it makes us all well-rounded. It gets us exposed to a lot of different things. I think I'm a better leader. I'm a better problem solver for the more I can be, exposed to things where it's not just in our little bubble. So I think that's important, and we certainly, expect our Brightwave employees to kind of do the same, where it's, what's important to you, go make an impact, and we don't expect everyone that just to be in the Brightwave world. So I think, there's a lot of things and opportunities that we're all presented, and we certainly want to give people the opportunity to do it, and I've been blessed and certainly had a lot of organizations that have played a key role in our growth and our success, and I want to make sure that I'm contributing as well as kind of growing that next generation of leaders that are going to make an even bigger contribution.
I'm interested in your unique point of view, again, of being a seasoned digital marketing veteran in this space. Are there things that you wish you would see more of, whether it's innovation or are there gaps in this industry, whether it be technology or elsewhere, that you think needs more improvement?
Yeah, I think innovation is lacking from a kind of a consistent standpoint, and somewhat people get in the best practice trap or get in the, I have 4 campaigns I have to get out this week. I'll worry about doing something bigger or better next year or next week. So I think, innovation is something that we can all aspire for, and that's been kind of the really kind of catalyst for launching EIQ. But I think, there's so many smart new folks that have joined the email marketing industry, and I think how do we kind of have those folks step up to the next level, give them opportunities to contribute, be thought leaders. To me, that's really exciting, because I've certainly felt, as somebody that's been doing this for a long time, of like, what's going to happen to our industry in 10, 15, 20 years, and what if we can't nurture that next generation? And I'm incredibly invigorated by seeing a lot of the people that are so much more well-versed than I ever was, in terms of they're not marketers, they're not technologists, they are somebody that completely understands all elements of digital marketing and email, and like they're just incredibly well-rounded and sophisticated, and I think we just have to figure out how do those people get the chance to really make big contributions. I think email marketers tend to not be great at storytelling to the C-suite or externally, and I think that's something that we have to figure out how to do better. Email, as you know, is this magical weapon that just transforms businesses to the next level, but the whole world sometimes views it as, well, isn't email dying? And we all know it's the opposite, but sometimes we're not great at really kind of telling that story. And to me, it's like that next generation of leaders has a great opportunity to kind of do some of the things that hasn't been done in the past as well as it probably should have been.
So to close this out, it's not every day that we have a CEO on the program. I'm going to ask you a series of questions in sort of a lightning round. These are very fun, lighthearted questions. So whatever jumps off your head, let's hear it. Sweet tea or iced tea?
I like half and half. I'm not I grew up in Maryland, kind of on the border, so I can play a southern or northern role. So, but I can't go full sweet tea. It's a little too rich.
I would imagine. Yeah. Obviously, being based in HQ'd in Atlanta, who has the worst traffic, LA, New York, or Atlanta?
I think LA. In LA, it takes 40 minutes to go to the grocery store there. So it's all about solving your bubble. Atlanta's got it, like in Buckhead where I live and work, it's not bad. So it depends on, really what your universe
where you're
is.
going.
But I'm never moving to LA, I'll tell you that.
Something that I wanted to know, what is the naming behind your first name in Simms?
It's a family name. I'm actually the fourth. So my full name's George Simms Jenkins, and Simms is a Welsh name, which is on my dad's side of the family. And I'm sure there's a lot of history and cool things tied to family history that I should know and can't quite recall. But it's spelled with 2 M's. Most people want to spell it wrong. And my son's actually the 5th, but he goes by Sam because it only needs to be 1 Simms in the family.
Thank you so much for sitting down with me. I've had an incredible pleasure interviewing you, and it's such an honor to have you on the program. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony. It's been great, and everything you're doing from a leadership standpoint for the industry is fantastic. So really appreciate you having me.
I appreciate that. And thanks everybody for tuning in. We hope to see you on another episode of Email on Tap.